Okay. All right. What's up, everybody? I'm Sherry coming at you live from OP and the Big D. That's Odyssey Pets in Dallas, Texas. Um, it is RAWGUST month here. There we go. So I created this month to talk about frozen and lightly cooked foods um, because it's less processed and it's much better nutrition for your pet rather than more processed stuff like dry kibble. So we're going to talk more about that. I have Rich here with Open Farm, and he's been with us a few times, but he's always full of information. So, Rich, how are you doing today?
I am doing well, thank you, Sherry.
All right. Um, for those that haven't watched our other interviews, let's do a quick rundown on
Mhm.
Open Farm and why is Open Farm cool?
Yeah, it's a really unique company, and it just one of my favorite things in the world. Literally, is working for this company. That our mission statement as a company is "Do some good." It's on the back of pretty much every product we have. Do some good, and it's not just a tagline. It's kind of what we do, how we base every decision the company does. There's three main pillars of the company, just overall, and I know we've talked about them in the past, so I'll do a quick rundown. The top pillar, of course, is superior nutrition. High protein, very low glycemic index carbs, a very good balance where it should be with omega-6, omega-3 fatty acids, just anything you'd expect in superior nutrition you get from Open Farm. Um, the other one is really unique for us, and that is we were the first, and I think pretty much still the only one that is completely everything is humanely treated animals that we use. We don't just tell you or go by what the FDA or USDA says is humanely treated. We go through companies like Certified Humane, Global Animal Partnership, Oceanwise. It's all about sustainability. We believe that all animals and the earth itself need to be treated with respect. A, because we're doing some good and it's the right thing to do. B, it's just so much better quality food when you do that. The third thing, literally our name, Open Farm, is the third pillar. We are the most transparent company I've ever seen. Every single product we do, even our little samples, have a code on them. You can go to our website, type in that code, and we will tell you every single ingredient in whatever you're holding there, where we got that ingredient, where it comes from, not where we bought it from or where it was grown, where it was sourced. So you have complete transparency. It's kind of unheard of in food and ag manufacturing these days. So once again, it really is a triple play, and it all goes back to the do some good mission statement.
Nice. Yeah, I love Open Farm. For me, the big selling point is the number two that you did. All
Humanely
humanely
treated, yeah,
raised, humanely treated, ethically slaughtered, all
yeah.
of that. So if you're a vegetarian or a vegan and you've thought about feeding uh, like a vegan diet to your dog, don't do that. Just feed Open Farm. Then
Yeah,
you can feel good about it.
and I know if I invite anybody to go to your website and look at some of our past interviews because we've got a lot more in depth into it. But I mean, just in this day and age, it's become a really neat thing with millennials. They love the fact that hey, I'm buying grass fed, I'm buying cage free, or whatever the keywords are. The important thing to know is that lobbyists have gotten involved with that, and it doesn't mean what you think. Okay, it's not saying it's illegal. I mean, someone can tell you, hey, legally we're selling you grass fed cows, and legally they are, but in reality they might not be. Um, FDA, USDA have passed laws. For example, if you walk into a grocery store or any store and you see grass fed meat, all it means is that the last 4 weeks of that animal's life, it was fed grass. So it could have been fed GM, genetically modified corn its whole life. Free range, you and I think, or it implies they've been out on the grass their whole life. Um, Literally, if they put a window and the animal can see the fields out there, you can sell that animal as grass fed, or I'm sorry, free range, cage free eggs. I think everyone knows that. So that is why we go through third party, non governmental, audited organizations, such as the four you and I have talked about: Certified Humane, Global Animal Partnership, Ocean Wise, Humane Harvest in the oceans. It's not just a guarantee that we're following the law. It's a guarantee that you're literally getting animals that were treated with respect as they should be treated. Studies have shown it could be up to a 40% better quality meat. You and I have talked about Temple Grandin in the past, and our slaughter techniques. How do you think, what kind of stress hormone is released to a pig when it's waiting in line to get slaughtered and it's watching the animal right in front of it be slaughtered and get bled out?
Yeah.
It destroys the meat. And not to mention how they were treated before. And it's not just humanely slaughtered. It's, you're not taking the babies away from the mothers. You're not traveling at night. You're allowing animals to sleep. And I say that because in most poultry places, they keep the lights on 24/7. They don't allow the chickens to sleep, trying to get eggs all night. It's just.
It's awful. I know.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah.
So
Go back and watch 2 of our previous ones. We talk a lot in depth on it. I don't like to skip over that, because even with that, Certified Humane is a fantastic organization. It's pass fail, you're getting great. But there is GAP, which is an amazing organization as well, which we use, but there's steps in GAP. And I'm starting to see, like I was at Whole Foods the other day, and they have a house brand now, and they're at GAP 1. GAP 1 is fine. It's a nice step. It's better than regular USDA meat, but it still allows, for example, antibiotics and growth hormone. So that's why I say learn it. GAP, we use GAP 4. GAP 5 is the highest. It's just really hard to find GAP 5 because animals can't travel. They have to be born, raised, and slaughtered on the family farm, and most family farms don't have a slaughterhouse, so you just don't find a whole lot of GAP 5. But I mean, all of our meats, they're at the GAP 4 level or Certified Humane. Ocean Wise is more of an ocean protective services, but we use Humane Harvest, which, once again, fish, they deserve to be treated well as well.
For sure, definitely. Yeah. Okay, so I know that my month is called RAWGUST.
Yeah.
But you guys don't have a fully raw diet. What it is, it's gently cooked.
Right.
So here's a small thing of it that I have, and you can kind of see the product there. So not raw, it has been gently cooked. So let's talk about that. Why would you choose gently cooked over raw, or what's the uses?
Okay. So before we do that, let's talk real quick just about the category, because there's some things coming out on it. The category of gently cooked. So it's the fastest growing segment in pet food right now. So meaning, and it's a small segment, but it's the growth is actually outpacing freeze dried raw, which was the fastest. Unfortunately, the majority of people are either buying some gently cooked version at a grocery store, which we can talk about quality there in a minute, or they're buying it online through the market.
You mean you're talking about Fresh Pet?
Yeah, I'm talking Fresh Pet. There's brands online only, Nom Nom
like
Now, Farmers.
Yeah. I think there's like Ollie Dog or something
Ollie's
like that.
Another
Yeah.
one. Yeah. And so it's been unique. It just blows me away how fast the category is growing and the products in there. And we'll talk a little bit about that. So there is lightly cooked and there's gently cooked, just so you know. And not to confuse people more. We sell gently cooked. Lightly cooked is pretty much still raw. It's seared raw. Okay. It doesn't have a kill step. That's pretty much when you're getting into gently cooked. It has a foodborne pathogen kill step. So if we look at what's going on in the industry, who's buying it, who's feeding it, it's typically not a raw customer, even though they can really do well on this as well. So what happens is the number one group that's buying this are people, and they're predominantly millennials, but they love to look at their dish. And I love this because this would be me. They love to look at their dish and what they're eating looks like what their dog is eating, not some either kibble or a raw thing like that. The second category that feeds this, and this is a big category, are people that actually cook for their dog. And they want a night off. They're going on vacation, whatever it is. The third one are people that use it for treats or toppers, or they're trying to increase the quality of a kibble, that kind of thing. So let's talk about real quick, what is gently cooked? What makes our gently cooked, the gently cooked that you sell, better than what's online or what's at the grocery store? So gently cooked, you guys, some of your folks out there that watch the Cooking Network may be familiar with a man named Bobby Flay.
I love Bobby
Yeah.
Flay.
Well, how he came to fame, whatever, is when he won a cooking competition and he did what was called sous vide cooking. Sous vide cooking was something where he put it into a baggie of some type, he sealed it, and he boiled it, kept the juices in there. So it was sous vide. So when we did this, we looked at what was on the market. And if you go to any of those companies we just talked about and look at their website, man, the pictures look great. It looks just like what you and I would eat. I did order some of it. Doesn't look like that when you get it. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Really, really.
Yeah. And I was like, huh. Okay. And the other thing is, most of them, it was a $250 minimum purchase. I'm assuming if you living in an apartment, you don't have a whole lot of freezer space anyway, and you got to store all that. So it's like, okay. And then just, I don't, look at your ingredients. Let's just say there's a lot of starches in there. It's potato heavy, and which, that's, I guess, great if you're an Irishman and not so great for dogs. And so we came out with a product. We decided, okay, how can we do this? How can we make it better than what we're seeing out there, in our opinions? So the first thing we decided to do is adopt Bobby Flay's method of sous vide. Okay, if you hold that package up, Sherry, right there, that's actually the sous vide packages it's in. Okay, what we did is we took the products. That's the turkey you're holding. We have a turkey, we have a chicken, we have a beef, and then we have a surf and turf beef salmon. And we can talk about the ingredients in the middle. We took them, they get cut up, mixed. They're actually put into that package that you're handling right there. We then steam it. Okay, it's put into a room and steamed. It gets an internal temperature of
So
160.
you don't put it in like boiling water.
No, it's steamed. Yeah, that is steamed.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
steam cooked. And it hits an internal temperature of 165. That is a minimum kill step per the FDA. That's the difference between lightly cooked and gently cooked. And then it's taken out, it's cooled, it's flash frozen. It comes to you still in the sous vide packaging. That way, there's guaranteed there's no foodborne pathogens that have been able to get in there. It's been hermetically sealed. That bag is recyclable. So you're good to go with that. Here's the difference now. First and foremost, from what I've heard, I've not tried the food yet, even though I know some people have. It really tastes great. The taste testing we've done versus our competition out there is just amazing. You can go into Odyssey Pet and you can buy a small, a medium, or a large serving, and you're not spending $250 in one pop. And you got an amazingly complete, great dinner that looks just like, you can see the carrots, you can see everything in there when it's defrosted.
I was gonna say, like, I don't know if it shows up here, but you can see like little pieces of kale and carrot in there, and the rest of it's meat, you guys.
Yeah, there's some pumpkin, butternut squash, and it's, so when it first came out a few months back, I actually took the chicken and I let it defrost and I opened it. And I'm not just saying this because I work for the company. It literally brought me back to being sick on the couch because it smelled like chicken noodle soup when I was a kid. And it was pretty amazing. Now, you and I have a mutual friend in Denise who feeds raw, and sometimes raw just isn't appropriate for all dogs. And she's got a dog. All of her dogs feed raw, and she has one that just wasn't doing well on it. And she's put it on that gently cooked, and she just sings the praises how well her Weimaraner's done on it. And so she's kind of my tell. She lets me know how it's doing, how it's feeding. The growth has been amazing. Once again, it's a small category.
So why is gently cooked for? Let's just get back to basics here.
Yeah.
Why would a food like this be better than a kibble?
Okay, yeah, and you and I, once again, our very first one we ever did, we talked about processing. Something is over processed. In general, when something is raw, its nutrients are the best, its flavors the best. It's just not been through a whole lot of processes. When you start dealing with kibble, the ingredients and the process itself is several processes, and every time it goes through a process, it's been shown in all food manufacturing. It loses a little bit of flavor, loses a little bit of nutrient. So what that is for your folks that either can't feed raw, don't want to feed raw, can't afford to feed raw, whatever their vet told them for whatever reason not to feed raw, it is a great alternative. It's been
Yeah.
through basically one major process, which is the actual steaming process, the
Yeah.
sous vide process, whatever it might be. Um,
So you
and it
brought up a
just,
great point.
mhm,
You brought up a great point about vets are scared of raw food
mhm,
because of the salmonella. But
mhm.
dogs can handle salmonella. They have
Yeah,
like a pH of 1 in their stomach. The problem is when we touch it, and then you don't wash your hands. So
yeah,
if you are
yeah.
worried about raw though, and um, which I said most vets don't know what they're talking about, but as far as nutrition, but this is a great alternative. So if
Mhm.
you don't want to deal with raw, do the gently cooked. It's the next best thing that you could feed,
Yeah,
in my opinion.
and it will blow away the grocery brand we mentioned earlier, just in nutrition and in taste. I promise you guys
I
that.
didn't realize they put potato in there. I'm not a huge fan of potato because it's starchy. They don't need it. It just turns into sugar. If your dog's prone to yeast infections, the sugar feeds the yeast. Yeah, it's not good.
So I was in a store the other day. I did not make this one up, but it made me laugh. There's a brand out there called, I think it's My Precious Pup, and that does gently cooked. And the store looked at the ingredients and said to the lady, "They ought to call this My Precious Potato." And I just started laughing. I thought that was pretty, yeah. And look, and we're not saying anything bad about potatoes, but just, as an everyday meal for a dog, a cat, it's there's better alternatives out there for your
Now,
carbohydrates.
do you know much about Fresh Pet? I actually do carry some Fresh Pet,
Mhm.
but I've always been skeptical because it has a 3-month shelf life uh, in a refrigerator. It's not even frozen.
Wow, what kind of preservatives are in there? I wonder.
I
Wow.
don't know, but I'm pretty sure they sous vide as well. So I don't know. They look like sausages.
Yeah, I've
Um,
seen them. I've never opened it. I've had people tell me. So when it first came out, I guess it came out back in October of this past year. When it first came out, most of the stores I was talking to, that was all they knew about gently cooked, and so they were like, "Well, we can." And the price is really comparative. And then since then, I think Petco brought in a brand. Um, they're still selling it online, but they're giving them an exclusive for retail. So the brand's growing in popularity. So now more and more people are starting to compare it and feed it, and they're going, okay. Now, if you start looking at your cost per serving, what you've got in the store there with our gently cooked will compete perfectly with what you can buy online. Once again, you don't have to buy a $250 minimum. You can go week by week, day by day, month, whatever you want.
yeah, this
It's
I think this is like $5.99.
Yeah,
So you just buy this if you
yeah,
want, and just use it as a topper
yeah, and that's just it. So
if
it
you
is,
wanted
it
to.
is, yeah. And people, so what we've kind of found with it, just for it is a complete meal. If you go by weights, which will be on there, obviously, it probably is a better value for a small, maybe a mid-sized dog. But it is a great topper for big dogs. If I've actually had some people call me and say, "Yeah, I've got a customer. It's all their dog will eat, and it's a lab," and I'm like, "Oof, it's going to cost them a little bit." But the reality is, for a small, mid-sized dog, it's perfect. As a treat or a topper, it's perfect. It's not that expensive. You don't have to buy huge amounts like you would online. And quite frankly, it's going to look, taste, and smell better to the dog than some of that stuff you can get online.
Yeah, one of the things I preach here is if you're not going to switch fully to a fresh food, then add some fresh to your bowl.
Yeah.
Add some fresh and some moisture to your
Hmm.
kibble. Moisture is a big deal to me as well, which brings me to like goat milk and kefir, which you
Yeah.
guys are coming out with some new stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's interesting. We've been in the kefir business, God, since I've been at Open Farms, and I'm a huge fan of kefir, but it's once again, sometimes you got to operate within the rules. We had raw milk kefir, and the federal government and states in particular are really starting to come down on raw milk. And we've actually had a couple states that put stop sale on our goat's milk, our kefir. I'm sorry, because it was raw milk. It's funny. I'm watching a show on Netflix called Schitt's Creek. It's a comedy, and there was a whole episode about the illegality of transporting raw milk over state line. And it was a comedy, but it made me laugh because we're kind of dealing with that a little bit. So we've had to change it up a bit. And with that, and I'll talk about the changes, we've also come out with a goat's milk kefir as well. So we have a cow's milk and a goat's milk kefir. And there's plenty of cow's milk kefir out there, but as far as I know, except for one little company outside of Houston that I've seen, I've not seen any goat's milk kefir out there. And so it's neat. So for those people that are not familiar with kefir, let me give you just what is it? You know, you're probably going, is it kefir? Is it kefir? It's pronounced both ways. My joke is Donald Sutherland named his son Kiefer and pronounces it that way, so it's good enough for me. But in the Midwest and in Canada, they say kefir, so go figure. So original kefir, let me give you a little history of it. This is not the majority of kefirs out there anymore, but this is how it evolved, and it's still out there. It was pretty much done by the Amish religion, and I'll explain why that's important in a sec. What they would do is they would take milk, and they would take a kefir grain, which is where the name comes from. They would put some yeast on it. Then they would put it into the milk. If you've ever made beer, you know, if you mix sugar and yeast, you get alcohol. And that's where the term kefir alcohol comes from. If anyone ever comes in your store or you hear, I want kefir alcohol, they're wanting kefir. Then what they do is it's fermented and they sell it. In pet, we're not allowed to sell alcohol products, and kefir grain itself can be toxic to dogs. So people go, well, how do you sell it? Well, that's where the Amish religion thing, they're grandfathered in, religiously grandfathered in. So that's why the majority of your kefir out there is known as California kefir, is what I've heard it used to be called as. So there's no kefir, there's no yeast, it's grain-free. What they do is they take milk and then they take probiotics. They put it in there, and that's where you get your acidophilus, your bifidum in there. And then it's allowed to ferment. And then that's what you have. So for those of you that don't know what kefir is, it is a very powerful liquid microbial probiotic supplement. And
yeah, it has a lot more probiotics than the goat milk.
Yeah. And that's the really neat thing. So I was talking about raw milk. Our previous one was raw milk from certified humane cows, because obviously it's open farm. And we actually had the state of New Mexico, Nevada, and I believe New Jersey made us stop selling it because it was raw milk. We were a small company. We're just trying to have good products out there. So what we did is we changed it up a bit, but we've also made it a better product. I know you got a little bit of the goat's milk kefir in, and you'll get the rest in as the month goes on. So we're using, once again, certified humane cows and certified humane goats. We're taking the milk and we are pasteurizing it. Okay. Most of the people that do it will pasteurize it with it. We pasteurize it. Then we turn it into kefir, which is nice. So it doesn't mess with it. Pasteurization's a little bit of heating process. It kills foodborne pathogens. Here we go again. So the previous kefir we had 1 billion CFUs of stomach flora in there, and 9 different strains, like some acidophilus bifidum thing. So when we changed it, we really pumped it up. We went from 1 billion to 12 billion CFUs.
Nice.
We went from 9 strains to 11 strains. So it is a super duper powerful product. It is lactose free, so your cat can use it. With that being said, the biggest thing we had is, for some reason, goat's milk has a bad name even without the lactose in it. So we decided, okay, for those customers, let's come out with a goat's milk kefir as well. So that's why we're coming out with both. So you'll have it, both are just as strong. Both have the 12 billion CFUs, the 11 strains. Goat's milk, while it's a lot less lactose, it's got a tinge in there because there was no need to put the enzymes in there to eat it up because it's just so low. So, but the milk is 100% lactose free.
So one reason I like goat milk is that it has caprylic acid in it, and that helps with allergies. And I can't tell you the science on it, but it helps with allergies. So a lot of dogs are battling allergies right now. I think goat milk is a great additive to put in the bowl. If your dog is prone to having upset tummy, the kefir is a great choice as well.
Yeah,
so,
and it's big human market as well. I mean, if you go over to a Sprouts or even a Kroger in your market, you'll find kefir over there. it's loaded with sugar. Ours isn't, so they make it taste good because I used to drink our old one raw, and it was an acquired taste, but it's not the best taste.
It's real tart. It's very tart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's somewhere between a milk and a yogurt, and it's definitely acquired taste. However, dogs love it, and it's really cool the things you can do with it. You can rehydrate your freeze dried. You can put it on top of your kibble. You can give it to them straight. I've seen, go online. There's some really unique things I've seen. A lot of it involves an ice tray. I've seen the neatest one I saw. Someone took our kefir and they put it in there. They put some broth in there, and then they put some CBD in there, and then they covered it with a plastic thing. And they took, I guess, chicken feet, chicken legs, or whatever, I guess, treats.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And stuck them in there, threw it, and froze them, and turned them into a popsicle with the chicken.
Nice.
And the dogs loved them. And I have an account that I store down in San Antonio that her dog every morning sits by the freezer and waits and drinks it straight out of the bottle. She doesn't even need to pour it in anything. But
oh my gosh.
So who should use kefir? I'm sitting there talking about this, and people are probably going, okay, but that thing with the funny, why would I want it? So, and this goes for dogs, cats, it goes for you and me as well, and everybody listening. About 70% of our immune system emanates from our gut, from our tummy. So a lot of issues you're having with your animals and yourself can be fixed by strengthening your stomach. And that's what these probiotics do that are in there. They help strengthen your stomach. There's a prebiotic and there's probiotic, just so you know, you'll see that. Probiotic are the actual organisms. Prebiotics are what feed the existing one to help them replicate and grow. Just
so you want both, right?
That's not, neither one is bad. My whole thing, and this is just me, the common sense thing, if you're getting prebiotics and your stomach flora is incredibly low or non-existent anyway, is it really just passing through you probably? So yeah, you definitely want to start with the probiotics, the live living organisms. There's a whole lot of debate on whether they survive cooking. Some kibbles put it in there. You know what? I've always been a believer it needs to be cold. It needs to be in there as you sell it. So
I've always thought that too. These kibble companies come in and they're like, oh, we have probiotics on our kibble, and I'm like, well, it can't even if they spray it on at the end, once it's exposed to air, it has like a 48-hour life. So they're just wasting it.
Excuse me. It's kind of like vitamin C in orange juice. Once it's been squeezed after 48 hours, there's no vitamin C left in that.
Really?
Oh yeah, water. Yeah, vitamin C is water soluble. Don't forget that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why your best orange juice is fresh squeezed right then and there, not stuff that's in a box or in a pour spout. But
what if you froze it?
I think it's fine if you freeze it.
Huh.
I think it would be. You'd want to drink it within time. It's going to dissolve, just like your B vitamins, your C vitamins. They're water soluble, so they're not going to last forever. But when and why would you need kefir? First of all, any stomach issues you're having, starting with diarrhea, starting with constipation. Then you go into things like bad breath, goop in the eyes, a lot of itching, a lot of allergy symptoms can be taken care of with that. Yeast infections.
Bad breath. So the bad breath is usually coming from the gut, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why the kefir might help.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Good to know.
Yeah, and it's all about naturally being preventative and taking care of issues. Nothing bad against vets. You and I've had this discussion before, but I just hate the over medicationing of these poor dogs. They can't, and there's always side effects, and so I'm not saying don't do what your vet tells you, but if you can start a dog young or any day with kefir and good quality food and keep them happy and healthy and keep them off of meds long term, I think everybody wins.
Yeah. I do it with any doctor. If they recommend something to me, I'll do my own research because you can't just take their word for it just because they have a piece of paper on the wall. So,
yeah, I was last time I brought a dog to the vet. I remember I was telling him, I forget what I had him on a Cosequin or something for the joints or whatever, and I told the vet, the veterinarian, that she was on that. She was a senior dog. And I'll never forget, I said, is this stuff good? And he said, well, I guess if you believe it's working, maybe you think it's good. And I mean, he just so dismissive. And I went, oh man, okay. Didn't ask, didn't look. He just kind of put it out there. And I went, all right.
Okay. All right. Well, we've been going on for 30 minutes here. If anybody has further questions or wants to research about Open Farm, here's their website.
OpenFarmPet.com. Come on
A lot
in.
of good information there. And then right now here at Odyssey, we are doing $1 off of the little, is this 8 ounces? Yeah,
That's
8-ounce
the half-pound.
packs. And then we have the 4.5-pound boxes, and we're doing $5 off. And then we'll hopefully get the goat milk and kefir in the next couple weeks, and we'll run a sale on that next month.
Yeah. And by the way, if once I come in, try the half-pound bag, the 8-ounce, give it a shot. But for those of your customers out there that have been fooling around with the Ollies and the nom-nom-nows and the farmer dog, once you get into those bulk boxes, you're going to see, and there's 6 in there, you're going to see the price actually per serving is cheaper than what you're buying online. So that's
good
so give
point.
it a shot with the small ones while they're on sale, and then come in there and I promise you, you're going to see
Plus, your meat, where you get your meat is incomparable. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's same price, better deal, better nutrition. Yeah.
Yeah. You're getting poultry and the turkey and the chicken that's not stuck in they call it a cage-free room, but they're stuck in a room where they cut their beaks off because they bite each other's faces off because they're so frustrated and angry.
Yeah.
You're not getting cows that are raised in a feedlot eating. You're getting grass-fed actually out there in the pasture. And
I think they cut off the tails of the pigs too, because otherwise they would eat them off.
Yeah, well, what happened with pigs is, if you look at the history of pig farming, first of all, pigs are incredibly smart. Some will tell you they're right there with dolphins. They're smarter than dogs and cats. So you've got this highly evolved animal that they used to keep them in these round pens in these god-awful feedlots and slaughterhouses, and they would literally rip each other's ears and tails off. So now, to prevent that and all the infections that were coming, and they put them in gestation crates their entire life. All they can do is stand up, lay down. So they got so frustrated and so angry, and just, for such an intelligent animal. So because they're packed in there so tight, they will rip the tails off. So just like, rather than letting pigs be pigs, they just cut the tails off. So now they have nothing to bite, and it's, yeah.
It's awful.
No,
it's awful.
Yeah.
Because,
By the way, none of that at Open Farm.
Right.
Happy pigs.
Okay. If anybody, like I said, if anybody has more questions or wants to talk about the gruesome side of the meat industry, just reach out to me, and I'll forward that to Rich. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's some great, but I mean, it's just, it's almost one of those things. I find a lot of times people don't want to know, because then it changes their life. And
I know. I don't want to think about it. It's like, before I went vegan, I love Chick-fil-A. It's tasty. It's so tasty. You don't want to think about where it comes from.
No. Well, and you and I have talked. It's changed my shopping. I personally don't buy anything unless it is something through one of the third-party non-government, like a certified humane eggs.
Right, and then you'll eat less meat, which we don't really need that much in our diet anyway. So you'll just eat healthier anyway.
Well, yeah, and it comes down to, sometimes we have to put our money where our mouth is, and it can be a little more money, but what you're doing, you're supporting family farms that take the time to make sure these animals are treated as they are. And I'm a big believer, this is just me, I believe long term, when you eat better quality meals, it's for long-term health. You're going to spend less on medical. Once again, my opinion only. But you hear all about people becoming antibiotic resistant, streptococcus and all these things in hospitals. You don't think that's from all the meat being they use it as a preventative on feedlots, in a lot of feedlots, and it's just not the way it's supposed to be. Stuff is, life evolves, and it's evolving better than these antibiotics. And so they're having to make more and more powerful antibiotics. It's a vicious cycle.
Sure is. It sure is.
Oh, here, let me get down off my soapbox here.
Okay. Okay. You can also reach out to me on Facebook. You can message me on our Facebook page. We also have, you can sign up for our email newsletter by texting OP Big D to 22828. And yeah, I think that's about it. I mean, I know we could keep going,
Yeah.
but I think that was a lot of information in one sitting. So I really appreciate you, Rich.
Well,
And
Sherry, I thank you for all you do and all the support you give me. I appreciate that very much, and everybody there at the store.
thank you so much. And until next time, we'll see you around.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
All right, bye.